In this episode, we want to give you some pro tips for how to use the entire fretboard. It's a question we ask the community, but also me and Hayes are going to give our ideas for this. Here we go.
Hey there, music makers. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus Zetterlund.
And welcome to the Mandolin Secrets Podcast, a show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode will tackle our questions of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets and guitar club lessons, and answer your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this episode, we'll be discussing what is the biggest struggle when it comes to fretboard knowledge. How do you visualize scales on the mandolin and guitar? Is there a book you've read that was valuable to your music playing? And Magnus has a new video lesson to show off. Before we dive into this week's discussion, though, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/podcast to sign up for reminders about our upcoming episodes.
Cool. And one more thing that we want to do today is we're going to play back his example lesson of the one string solo.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and we can't forget it because that's almost what got me here today. To finally hear it. No, seriously. But still, I mean, somehow the main topic for this episode is using the entire fretboard, and it's also related to in April. We are running Mandolin Secrets, the Fretboard Success group coaching program, like helping basically beginner and intermediate players go into more advanced playing by using the upper part of the neck and getting to understand all essential music theory. So we asked also the community, what is your biggest struggle when it comes to fretboard knowledge? And let me quickly see here. I just had it here 1 minute ago. And it's quite often the same, like in the style of the answers. But a lot of people that I see is coming from either guitar or bass. And then they're like a little bit just understanding the tuning in fifth is a little bit challenging. So like Steve is saying here, I spend a lot of time learning the fretboard for guitar and bass. I'm comfortable with naming and finding notes and intervals. Then the tuning of the mandolin is inverted. And to transfer that knowledge from bass and guitar to mandolin is, difficult and a struggle. But see many people saying like that. And like Helen is saying, she want to be more adventurous with playing up the neck, especially with chords and improvisation. But, how to get there is the question.
Yeah. The $1 million question.
Mm-hmm. And, but I think the way that I like to teach this and the sort of the advices I have is because I like seeing patterns over the fretboard, but not only relying on patterns or boxes, but also connected with like proper music knowledge for what notes makes up a scale, what intervals makes up a chord, so that we can connect those patterns and the shapes with some, with more grounded musical theory knowledge. And I have a feeling that you have the similar approach to this, Hayes.
Absolutely, yeah. And since we've done, Fretboard Success together, many times at this point, I've really appreciated getting inside of your approach to this, because I think we do share a lot of overlap in how we like to think about the fretboard knowledge. But to me, the one thing that I loved about Fretboard Success the first few times I did it is this kind of concept that I call installing anchor points on the fingerboard. So essentially just being able to identify individual notes across all of the strings and having a, method for doing that. And I really love like your note name fixer exercise and stuff like that. I think exercises like that are really good at least making that first crack and opening in the door for people to get inside the fretboard, you know.
Exactly, and it's the way it's almost like the way that when I was like opening up the fretboard and doing my fretboard mapping, it's sort of like it's like a map, and you're kind of conquering different areas of this map one at a time, sort of.
Yeah.
At first, it's somehow blurry. Well, you know the first position notes, because that's where we're starting to play the mandolin, learning our fiddle tunes and all that. And maybe we also kind of one quick connection is to make is on 12th fret, the patterns and the notes repeating themselves, sort of.
Yeah.
So, but then, like eventually we're like working out. Well, it's these things are difficult to describe in words, but you get the idea that then maybe you learn how to one box for C major scale, and you can play it at a few different places at the neck. There are still some gray spots in between, but you know how to shift, and you can use the upper part of the neck.
Yeah,
because you don't have to. It's not like we're learning the fretboard from fret 0 and the way up. I mean, maybe there are some blurry parts around fret 8 or 9 or whatever it may be, but eventually all these things comes together.
Absolutely. I like the map analogy for that too, because when you're talking about moving from one position, like a lower position that you're familiar with, to a position up the neck, it's like driving from your hometown to a nearby city. It's like, you know that it's over there somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you know the road that takes you there, but you may not know everything in between those two cities, you know? It's kind of, and you don't need to, right?
No.
Like, not at least at first, you know?
No, exactly. And I think that's also like one approach of the program, and one thing to give the students, that don't be afraid of using the upper part of the neck. I mean, there are quick ways to get there.
Yeah.
So use the upper part of the neck, and well, eventually you will use the entire fretboard. And
absolutely. Mandolins are expensive. We paid for all those frets. We need to learn how to use them, you know?
But also seeing the comments from my community, some people are kind of, appreciating the symmetry of the mandolin fretboard, because the guitar is a little bit different in that way.
Don't remind me. Like, we're talking about teaching fretboard success for mandolin, and I'm about to start a fretboard mapping course for the guitar. And no joke, when I was writing the curriculum for it, my logic fell apart almost immediately for how I was going to teach the guitar fretboard, because of the relationship from the G to the B string. Like, the mandolin is totally symmetrical, and the guitar would have been if it wasn't for that relationship from the G. It changed a lot.
Yeah. Is that somehow a reason for you to make well, I think I'm bridging over here, because
I know exactly where you're going with this, and yes is the answer. Because the one thing that I've started doing to people is I think on the guitar it's really useful to make one string triads and major scales. So just like, almost like you're looking at a piano, right? If you look at one string on the guitar, like, how do these intervals line up on just that one string? You can apply that logic in your mind. It's like, okay, G major is G, B, D, and it looks like this. You know, it's like 4 frets separated here, 5 here, whatever. And then you can start to move those notes on other strings to make things that are more sensible, right? But at first, it's really fun to just grab a few of those notes on one string and make some music with it, which is where the idea for this kind of one string solo thing came from.
Yes, but I think it's a brilliant idea, because also that symmetry does never change across the strings.
Never. And
No.
that symmetry, in fact, exists like the one string logic.
Yeah.
It exists between the mandolin and the guitar. Our E string
True.
is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right? We have a G string on the guitar. The mandolin has a G string. We have a D string, right?
Yes.
So you can find these common elements like that.
Wow, that's I like that, and I haven't brought it into my teaching, but also I can see there's a point for it.
Oh, I have a feeling after this video we're going to see some mandolin one-string solos from Magnus.
Oh, I like it. Let's dive into this video now. We've been talking about it 3 times already. So, something more to mention about it?
No, this is just kind of a little exercise that I put on YouTube. So, anyone listening can search this on my YouTube channel. And there is a more in-depth lesson with PDFs and stuff in the Guitar Club if anyone's interested.
Cool. Here is the one-string solo from Hayes.
Check it out.
Cool. Really nice.
I used some extra strings at the end. Sorry, I did a lick at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, but nice ideas there.
Yeah, man. There's some interesting. The one idea that I had a teacher show me this pretty early on, that like when you're moving from a 1 chord to a 4 chord in any key. And so the caveat is if you're moving from a 1 chord to a 4 chord and you're okay with your solo sounding bluesy, then all you have to do is play a lick with the third of your 1 chord in it. And then when the 4 chord comes around, play the exact same lick. Just move the third down a half step to a flat third, and then that becomes a flat 7 of your 4 chord. So I know it's a lot of like theory jumbled in there. But really, it's just one simple move, right? You play the same lick, same 3 notes, and then just shift 1 down a half step, and it becomes an idea that fits that 4 chord. So
it makes total sense also for me knowing music theory, like you explained like that.
Yeah, and good.
It's a great sound. With that.
Yeah. Like a little voice leading kind of thing or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's something that's on my practice schedule now that I'm voice leading arpeggios day in and day out, but I'm starting to make progress with it.
This is why we're friends. That's like my triad practice too. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so right. Well, I sort of. For the last month, it's been I found a new baby.
Yeah.
But now I've left it for working on Nuages, the Django Reinhardt tune.
Man, talk about some good chord changes to voice lead through on that one. That's,
yeah.
A lot of half steps in there.
lot of half steps. And what is interesting with this, because I'm now like voice leading them through staying in this one position, close position all the time. And it's so interesting when playing 2 dominant 7 chords next to each other. There's half step apart. And because, well, the obvious way to think of it is if you find one pattern and then you just shift your hand position to the next one. But now that I'm not allowing that to happen, it's that little half step dominant 5-7 chord transition. It's much more interesting to play around with.
Yeah, you get like complex lines, right? As opposed to me, that first approach you're talking about, which is the one that I employ most of the time, because sometimes when you're in the moment, you just don't know what to do, right? It sounds like cut and paste. right?
Yes.
Like when you
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
one idea, move it down a half
Yeah.
step, play the same idea, which is okay, right? You know, it's
Yeah.
okay, but I see what you're getting
So
at. You're going to get a more
so
complex sound, right?
I have a sort of a different relationship to E flat 7 to D7 now, after for 1 week prioritizing this chord change. So it's
So cool.
a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Good, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I was I wanted to play back a recent video that I put out. So I made some tutorials for Blackberry Blossom, the very common fiddle tune. And maybe a little bit related to what I just said, that I encourage people to use upper part of the neck, even people that feel that they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
I want it, especially those ones. You should really go for it. And one way to do it, I made a series of a lesson in the series of Blackberry Blossom. I included a little Sierra Hull lick into it. So it's a 1 bar phrase, but really this, because I think she does this so beautifully, like transitioning from first position up the neck, using some delicate slides where she's connecting those like different boxes or positions. So I can first just play back this very simple lick, and then we can have a listen to it when I apply it to Blackberry Blossom. But here's first the lick. So also the idea for it, because we're like changing position by doing this slide.
Yeah.
So that making time for the transition, and then on our way back, we're playing an open string, so we can we don't have to interrupt the flow of the 8 notes. Or
have you heard this term escape note? Before?
Escape note, yes.
Yeah, because I think guitar players do that when they're playing some of those like floating licks up the neck. They'll hit that open string so they can jump back down, right?
That's a great the term, escape note, because that's exactly what that is, using the E string as an escape note.
Yeah.
And then I played it's a 1 bar phrase, and I kind of squeezed this into Blackberry Blossom in both the A and the B part. Because it's this little lick can it's like a pentatonic run, and it can either be played over a G chord or an E minor. It works just as fine. So we just know that now that we're listening back to it, I'm overusing this. It will not sound good if you're playing Blackberry Blossom this way. I get it. but
disclaimer, right?
Yeah, disclaimer. But as an exercise, I think it's really cool, because also the fact that learning a lick like this, we want to know how to get in and out of it, so we can use it more in our vocabulary.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's Blackberry Blossom with that Sierra Hull hero lick. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Very nice.
Well, yeah, it got that. I mean, you hear the modern bluegrass player like Sierra Hull throwing in little sparkling lines like that. So, and this is
that goes up real quick and then down really quick, right? It's like I like it.
This is for an intermediate player that want to get a taste of that. I think this lesson can really be good. So you find it at the website. At the YouTube, or of course in Mandolin Secrets Academy.
I've got 3 students at the college right now who are going to love that lick, man. Blackberry Blossom is kind of one of the tunes at Denison, so.
Yeah, just steer them over and let them try it. I know the level of the Denison musicians, so they will learn this one in 5 minutes and they throw it in at the next jam session.
I gotta say too, you were responsible for one of my career highlights. I had a couple of my students approach me. It was last semester, and they were like, "We were searching for mandolin lessons on YouTube for I forget what tune it was," and they were like, "We found this great Swedish guy, Mandolin Secrets, and you were on his channel." It's like they were like blown away that I was had a relationship with this mysterious Swedish mandolin guy,
Well, yeah. I mean, they just tell them to wait another 10 years and we'll be everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I love it, dude.
Yeah. No, but it's we make those videos here at our studios, but the reach is really far. I mean, the distribution of YouTube and video content, it's powerful.
Yeah, it's hard to even perceive it really, which is kind of what was baked into that little story, I guess. It's, yeah. It's funny.
But I'm honored to hear that they are finding my stuff and learning from us. That's good.
Yeah,
they're in good hands. So that is pretty much. Let me check here again if there was something else to add to this. So biggest struggle when it's come, we mentioned a few, visualizing scales, boxes, and all that. This question that I forgot. Is there a book you've read that was valuable for your music playing? And we had too many. I'm gonna first find here from the community post.
While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and just toss mine out there.
Please.
Yeah. Effortless Mastery by Kenny Werner. We've talked about that one before. And
yeah,
as any of you that listen to the podcast regularly or see either of our channels on YouTube know that Magnus and I are very into mindfulness practices and kind of developing a more intimate relationship between, your mind, body, and the instrument. And that book really brought together a lot of thoughts, and practices that I had kind of heard about, but not really put into my own life. And I think anyone who finds themselves struggling to perform music live or struggling to play things that they can play in their practice room, but not anywhere else. If you have these kinds of problems, then Effortless Mastery is a great one. And even if you don't have those problems, it has a lot of great practices for just, getting better at music without, what do I want to say? Kind of getting in your own way.
Yes. Yeah. That's also going to be my number one pick, really. Effortless Mastery. I also read his second book, Becoming the Instrument. Have you?
Yeah. I haven't read this one. Is it? Should I pick it up?
Yeah, I think so. It's, I think, how Kenny Werner, himself put it, like So he wrote that one after teaching and well, like working with the effortless mastery approach with hundreds of students. He felt there was a space for a book, like, so it's not any like not a lot of new ideas or anything, but it's maybe just filling in the small holes that were in the first book.
I like that. Then
so definitely worth a read. But if you read Effortless Mastery and is sold on the approach, it will not be a game changer or anything. But definitely worth it. I think what maybe I remember what resonated with me reading that book, because it talks more about breathing in that book, and how breathing is a way to get in the space. So, and it connects with everything you and me are also a believer of regarding the mindfulness and all that. Because I mean, breathing is sort of, if you pay awareness to your breathing, it's like you're automatically connecting your body with your mind in a way. So if you can play your instrument while keeping connected and awareness in your breathing, you are on a good path.
That's I totally agree with that. I think maybe even we talked about this, that if I did have any success at Winfield last year, it was because of that. It was doing that every day, because I knew the stress of sitting in front of a huge group of people would probably be overwhelming to do that. But I did that, no joke. I actually had a calendar. I did it for at one point I think I hit like an 80-day streak of sitting down every day to practice that way, connecting the breath to the instrument, and it felt awesome. To anyone out there who's thinking about this, I've never felt better playing music than when I was practicing that way.
Wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, and I can't remember if breathing was that much part of effortless mastery, but I think
I don't remember that. Yeah,
no, I don't remember that part either. It's more like he even puts it in the second book, like that the lazy yoga approach to getting into the space. So it's not like 10-15 minutes of meditation to get there. It's like 3 deep breaths, then you're there.
Yeah.
So the lazy yoga.
I love that.
The lazy yogi, probably. The lazy yogi approach.
Yeah. I love that, man. That's I'm gonna be the lazy yogi from now on, you know.
Yeah, but another interesting book that people are more than one people are recommending is The Practice of Practice.
Huh.
It's Jonathan Harnum is
okay.
Read it, and I've heard about it also. I haven't read it. I'm very curious to read it. Still, there's one point of the key points of that book and that approach that I'm not that fond of. And well, reading what some of one of my students says here. It says what you do in your practice, your brain will record. So you must do is ensure that what you're playing is correct. And if any part not correct, then you must correct it immediately and then repeat it correctly. This means, and I'm not to me, that has never worked. And because it's also about you're trying to practice small enough for you to able to control, and you must play it slowly enough that you have a good chance of playing it correctly. So it's the idea that the brain kind of basically, if you put it, if you're playing something wrong, you're kind of learning yourself to play it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. To me, that approach has not been the way. There's some truth to it, but I like doing mistakes and not paying attention to them. Rather,
I think I'm obviously more in your camp, like, because we've had some discussions about this over the years. I think it can be damaging to only take that view that you're talking about is presented in this book, where it's like you must. To me, it's the classical conservatory method. Which no joke, like I'm not trying to like hate on any like pedagogy or methodology for learning music, but there are a lot of people that have been traumatized by that approach to music. You know what I mean? It's this kind of totalitarian, like if you don't get it right immediately, you have to fix it. And, you know, it's this kind of thing. And I'm with you that like part of learning in general is to like learn something, quote, incorrectly and work yourself out of it. I think like that's a good skill to have, in fact. And I think it actually deepens your understanding of the information to untangle a mistake or a incorrect way of thinking. So I wouldn't put so much pressure on it like maybe the author did in that kind of little statement.
And just a disclaimer, I haven't read the book. And this is actually coming from someone that read the book, but I've checked out this book before, and there was like parts of it that sort of not made me go get this book straight away. And this was this. So I also felt this a little bit like this classical approach to, and I think it's I think what Kenny Werner so well kind of is preaching, or is that you can practice things, small parts of a piece of music, like correctly and very slow, if that's your focus. But another way of practice is playing something at speed. You're playing the entire piece, and you kind of like embracing that it's not perfect. But now you were more practicing form or drive or whatever, timing or whatever it may be. And it's so there's different parts of your musicality that can be stimulated in different ways. And the approach that we have to play things so slowly so we don't play everything perfectly. I mean, perfect is even doesn't exist.
It's an illusion. Yeah, perfection is an illusion. And I'm so with you. As you're saying, the speed thing, for example, like one would say, it's like you have to have a very clear idea of what the goal is to even judge your performance on it. Because like if the goal is to be able to play faster, part of that is getting your mind to even perceive what it's like to be in that speed. And until you kind of recalibrate your mind to hear and feel music at that speed, you're not going to play it perfectly.
No.
You know?
No.
So it's like you can let go of that and know that like we're practicing getting used to the speed, not like playing every single note perfectly, right? So it's more complex than sometimes we want to make it. You know, we want to write a quick bullet point in a book and like say that it's, you know, this is the way, but it's nuanced, right?
It's nuanced. But definitely an interesting book that a lot of people have a lot of benefits from that one.
Yeah.
Well, and also, of course, reading biographies from successful and inspiring musicians is also very something that people find a lot of value from, get a lot of value from.
Yeah.
I remember one podcast listener at one point reached out to me and asked us to review a few books inside the podcast and maybe invite some author here. Maybe it even was the author of Practice. The Practice of Practice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oops.
We should do it because, I mean, we're not... We are... Yeah.
And I would love to hear an explanation for that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously we have an initial take on it, but that's like we haven't read the book and we don't know their view. So I like that. Let's reach out.
Yeah. All right. I think we're wrapping up this call for today, but really nice talking to you, Hayes.
Yeah, too, man.
We yes, and what else to add here? If someone wants to find more info about the podcast, where do they go?
Yeah, mandolinsecrets.com/podcast. You can subscribe for updates and kind of dig through our back catalog there. And definitely check out just Mandolin Secrets Academy if you're interested in some mandolin instruction, or Guitar Club at hayesgriffin.club if you're looking for some guitar stuff.
Yes, and until next time, always remember, be a music maker.